Lower.
Alrighty.
Alexa, lower. Alexa, lower.
So annoying, this camera's losing focus. You all set?
It's not time yet.
Not time
And really. Getting your water.
yet.
And it's supposed to be Germany. Here's your water.
Thank you.
And here's your towel.
Water and towel.
Don't say I don't do anything for you.
You never do anything for me. Like in there. Right. How are we doing for time?
Oh. It's time.
It is time. All right. So
Let's go.
Sunday fun day. Welcome all. Thank you for joining us today.
Camera in your view?
Yeah. You want to mess with it?
No.
No. Okay, good. So to get started today, we're going to come to the back part of our mat. We're going to bring our feet together and we're going to bring our bodies into a nice elongated position. So I'd like to start with the feet, the beginning of our kinetic chains. And I'd like you to take your big toe and then find the ball up and fall down onto the mat and then lift up the outside of the foot. So the baby toe is going to lift up and on the mat and then let them gently settle down. It looks like Sue's also joining us. Good morning to all. Bring the knees nice and straight. Bring a little bit of inward rotation if you can. And I basically mean by squeeze the legs, kind of like you bring chopsticks together. Let's draw your belly in and then begin to elongate the spine. As the spine begins to elongate, I'd like you to create a little more activation of that six-pack muscle. Roll the shoulders up to the ears, open the palms to face forward, draw the arms backwards. Take a big inhale. And as you exhale, sweep the arms forward and up. As you separate the fingers widely, use them to help pull the arms and shoulder carriage higher to the sky as you fill the lungs. And as you exhale that, pull forward, letting the fingers descend towards the earth. Inhale, extend to a flat back. Exhale, fold back down. And do that a few more times. Inhaling as you extend, exhaling as you fold. Now, as you do this, if your knees are starting to splay away from each other, draw them back together. Try to keep the knees almost locked out. And then on this inhale, hold up, draw back the hips, give me as much weight bearing into the heels. Walk the hands forward. Take another strong breath in. And as you exhale it, let the upper body fold down. And as we unfold, sweep your arms to the sky to salute the sun, keeping them about shoulder width apart. Take a big inhale again and draw those fingers, arms, and shoulder carriage to the sky. And as you exhale, bring hands over heart. Take the right foot, step it forward. From it, power off and jump it back. Switch to the opposite side. Our feet are going to separate about hip width apart. And do this a few more times. A little more dynamic warm up today. And as everyone meet in the standing back position, and now bring the feet all the way up to the edges of the mat. Keep the heels on the edges and rotate the toes to face the midline of the mat. Bring some straightness back to the knees, and from hands over heart, let's extend the arms forward with the palms pushing together. Interlock the fingers now, and take a big breath in, and power down through the heels, And try to give me a little bit of exterior rotation. Try to turn them away from the midline of the mat. As you reach forward, draw that butt back, keep the legs relatively straight. Now, stand tall, bring those arms back in, and then extend out and draw back the booty. All right, and let's do this a few more times. Keep the palms together and the fingers interlocked. This time, as we push out the hands, I'd like you to take the elbows and rotate them down towards the earth. Take your thumbs and push them over the front part of the hand, kind of like a boat diving into the water. And raise the arms ever so slightly. When you bring hands over hearts, keep those fingers interlocked. Take the elbows and raise them up about shoulder height. Give me your best version. Rotate the fingers internally so they're almost touching your chest. Bring the elbows a little higher. And then sweep forward the hands, extending out, rotating the elbows down. Knees straight and hips draw backwards. As you inhale, raise the arms slightly. As you exhale, stand tall, rotate the fingers internally, raise the elbows nice and high, and then do that again. Extend out and come back in and out. Hold out, let the hands release now. Separate them about shoulder width apart. I want you to reach forward, but draw the butt back. So we're kind of cantilevering over our hips. Lots of weight. You should feel it mostly in the heel of the foot. As you inhale, raise the arms. As you exhale, hold here. As you inhale, stand tall. Reach for the sky. And then bring hands back over heart. We're going to stay in this spot. Now, internal rotation, external rotation. We're going to take the toes and try to rotate them internally. So we're not moving anything, we're more activating. And if you feel the inner thighs kind of kick in a little bit, perfect. That's the sensation we're looking for, that activation. Now, with that internal rotation, you're just trying to spiral in the toes, obviously. I like you to take the legs and try to pull them together. So you have a big mid or inner thigh muscle activation. We're going to keep that as we extend the hands out and separate them shoulder width apart. And then as we stand tall, sweep the hands to the sky. As you exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, extend to a flat back. Exhale, draw the butt back. Walk the hands forward. On the next exhale, fold the upper body down. Inhale, extend. Draw the butt back. Walk the fingers forward if you can. And on the exhale, fold or flex the spine. Inhale, extend. Square off the feet, toes pointing forward, and walk the hands all the way up into your plank pose. In plank here, we're going to kind of scapate or move the shoulder blades like you push up high and let the upper body kind of descend into the arms. And then keep those elbows spiraling inward towards the midline of the mat as we kind of effectively do scapular push-ups. So we're just keeping the arms straight and we're moving the upper body up and down in between the arms per se, making sure our head isn't bobbing as we do so. You're going to You're going to focus on lengthening through the neck as we do a few more of these. And then let's bring it all down to the mat onto the knees. And then draw the hips backwards. As we come into a wide stance child's pose, I'd like you to walk the hands forward. Now, keep the hands planted. Try to draw the shoulders towards the hips. Extend the spine. Give me a nice proud chest. Take a big inhale as you push the chest towards the earth. Keep the forearms up and off the mat. And draw the shoulders towards the hips as you rise back up onto all fours. Nice wide base here. Hands, knees, feet, all to the edges of the mat. We're going to do the same thing we're doing in our plank pose, which is basically just moving the upper body up and down through the arms. Arms nice and straight. Elbows are rotated inwards. If you can lock them out, that's great. If you can't, just keep that internal rotation of the elbows. pushing high and just kind of moving those scapular joints up and down, and then hold up. Take your right hand, reach it forward, and then lower and switch for the left. So we're going to walk the hands, but as we do so, I'd like you to be mindful that you're not translating side to side with the hips. Let's do this a few more times, and then bring the hands back to the earth, elevate the knees up, so we're kind of floating our bear. We're going to draw back the hips, float forward, and do that a few more times. As we kind of open up those quads and keep those chest muscles nice and active. Okay, hold this, draw your hips upward to down dog, come high under the tiptoes. Now drive those heels to the earth, pull those hips back, but pull them up to the sky. So there's like two movements, the backward and upward movement of them. Keep that neck of yours tension free. Walk the hands forward back to your plank pose. Give me one push up here, knees down if you need. And as you push up and back to down dog, we're going to do this a couple more times. So the option to use the knees all the way down, all the way up and back, down dog. One more time. As you pull up and back to down dog this time, step your feet forward. Bring them into the center part of your mat. As you inhale, extend to a flat back. As you exhale, hold back down. And as you unfold, sweep your hands to the sky. As you bring hands over heart, keeping the feet relatively centered on the mat. So you're going to take your left knee and raise it up into the air. Nice. Now, your right foot, the standing foot, of course. I'd like you to make sure we're not rolling side to side. If anything, if you can kind of make a pronounced weighting into the ball of the big toe of the right foot. That's nice. Okay, hold that. Take the left foot and begin to pull it up into the butt and keep it pulling up into the butt. So that's hamstring activation. We're going to use that as we begin to fold partially forward. So if your toes start to grab the mat, just keep them relaxed. Come back up. It's a partial fold. Now lower that foot. Raise the right side. Hold the right heel in. And begin to fold forward. Remember, it's just a slight movement right now. Coming back up. Lowering down, switching up. You can keep hands on the hips, hands over heart. Whatever helps you best with your balance at this point. Still warming up the body. We're just alternating side to side. Take your time making the movement. You should feel that hamstring kind of going, oh, good morning. You get that? All right. Back up. Plant both feet. Separate them widely. Got them up to the edges of the mat. Turn the toes into the center line. And again, that external rotation of the heels. Try to practice that. If you feel those outside hip muscles kick in, perfect. Draw your butt back, keeping hands over heart right now. We're going to try to make the spine nice and long. I'm going to start to begin to descend the upper body. We're just really hip hinging here. Best you can, I'd like you to try to keep the spine and the neck long. So it's all engaged. The muscle along that spinal column actively working. We're going to slowly rise back up. And in the ascent and descent, we're going to exercise tension so we can feel muscle active through the whole range of motion with that external rotation of the heels actively being enforced as we lower and as we raise. This is a nice stretch, lengthening, contraction under tension of these muscles. We're working two phases, the eccentric and concentric phase, loading as we lengthen and keeping loaded as we shorten the muscles we're working right now. Sounds very good, but it's just a nice stretch and muscle activation in our feet though.
Yeah. I don't have glasses.
Here, up there. Oh, we're still there. Sorry about that. The screen went funny on us. I thought we might have dropped you. My apologies. You're still there. Can you just acknowledge that you're live?
Yeah, they are.
All right, perfect. All right, so yeah, it's weird. Our computer's acting up, obviously. All right, so let me get back on track here. Folding down and rising up, keeping that external rotation of the heels active. As we come down this time, I like you to let the fingers descend to the earth. Draw the hips back, keep the external rotation of the heels. Grow the spine long as you inhale. Keep the spine long as you draw back without toppling over those heels, but mostly weight bearing through them. Walk the fingers forward. Take a powerful inhale again. As you exhale it, let everything fold down. Now rock forward to back. So we're going to change the weight through the foot, keeping the external rotation of the heels active as we move forward and back, legs straight. And then find balance between the weight in your foot, between the front and back. Keep the external heel rotation active. Inhale, extend to a flat back. Step your palms onto the shins. Remember, our toes are still angling towards the midline. And take the elbows and open them away from the body as we keep the external rotation of the heels. Push the palms, extend the spine. Draw that butt back. We're not falling back. We're just going to find that tipping point, but not beyond. Now, take both knees and we're going to bend them. And as they bend, they should start to angle in towards the midline of the mat. So we're going to push the hips straight to the sky. Keep the spine nice and long. Try to fold in a little deeper if you can. Bend both knees. Straighten both legs. Keep the palms pushing. Keep the external rotation of the heel. Now tabletop the back. Draw the hips back. And let the fingertips come back down to the earth. As you walk them out to plank, step the feet back. Bring the feet together so you have the touch of the feet and of the legs. We're going to take your legs and try to pull them together. We're going to chopstick, right? We're going to pull thighs together. We're going to keep that active, internal, midline, activation, thighs squeezing as the hips pull to the sky and heels drive to the earth. Keep the thighs squeezing together as you float back to plank. Keep the thighs squeezing together as you pull up and back to down dog. We've got the motion. We have the activation. Float between the 2 points. Nice and slow. All the way. See if you can increase the depth that the heels can drive down to when you come into down dog. And keep that internal activation of the thighs. Pull up and back, hold up and back, step the feet out to the edges of the mat, drive the heels down towards the earth, pull that butt up to the sky, and then step both feet forward. Feet folded as you inhale, extend to a flat back. Exhale, fold back down. Let's salute the sun, coming all the way up. And then bringing hands over heart. Good morning, everybody. All right. Let's take the right foot forward. We're going to take the left foot back. Today, we're going to plant that foot. So we have an angle of the foot. The toes are kind of angling away. I want you to find that angle that works best for your body. You know, every one of us have different hip mobility capabilities. So I'd like you to take that back leg and straighten it, and then take that left hip and try to rotate it through. Now, as you try to rotate through, I'd like you to take the front leg and straighten it too. So we got 2 straight legs. So we have the internal rotation of that left hip. Let's take the left hand, reach it forward, right hip's going on the hand. Now, I'm going to sweep across that left hand, the midline, and take it as far to the right as you can. Try not just to move the shoulder, try to take the shoulder carriage as the rotation effort here. And then come back straight, and then do that a few more times.
Are you leaning forward?
We have a slight forward lean. We're not standing tall. And then come back, come up to the toes on the back foot, extend the right hand forward now. And as you lean in a little more, we're going to rotate to the right and come back center and do that a few more times. You might feel a different intensity in that oblique now. That's fine. That's kind of what we're targeting. As we come back center, bring hands over heart, back foot steps forward. We set up on the opposite side. Same thing with the planting and toes. Same thing with the legs and same thing with the hip. This time is the right hip pushing forward. Let's take the left hand and reach it forward. And we're going to open to the left side.
Mhm.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think we do the other way,
Fine.
because this is easy.
This is the right side,
Mhm.
I believe. We'll have to roll the tape back to see who's right or who's wrong. All right, now let's come back center, up in the toes of the back foot. Hands reach forward. We're going to lean in a little more and then continue the rotation center to side. Yeah, this is the right way, or the left way if you look at it that way. All right, nice and slow, engaged, nice and stable. Not wobbling, are we? Come back center, hands come over heart, back foot steps forward. Push those hands to the sky as you inhale. Exhale, fold all the way down as your fingers arrive on the mat. Feet step back to plank. As you inhale, draw the spine long. Let that upper body kind of sink down in between the arms. Rotate the elbows in towards the center line, keeping the head elevated. It's the back of the head that's really lifting to the sky, as opposed to the chin looking forward. It's the back of the head lifting. So pull up and back to down dog. Drive the heels to the earth. Come back to your plank. Those hips should feel a little more mobile right now, I hope. Push forward with the toes. And then drive the heels backwards. Pull the hips up and back to down dog. Come back. Hold here. Drop down to the knees. Come onto the tops of your feet. And bring the knees nice and wide to the edges of the mat. Bring your feet in so that the big toes are connected or touching slightly. And you're going to walk the hands backwards. And we're going to lower down onto the feet. Now I'm going to use I'm going to offset some of my body weight with my arms. So I'm going to kind of sink the hips down, but I'm going to support some of the weight going into the stretch here with my arms. So if you feel like you've got everything in control and you can take them up, great. And if you feel comfortable like I do by lowering down like this to get that nice shin stretch, that's kind of what we're focusing. Now, keep the spine long, keep the neck long, and then proud out the chest. And then see if you can drop the hips just a little more, bring a little more intensity to that muscle. And then come all the way forward onto all fours. And now flip your toes, tuck them under. And then take your heels and then drive them backwards. Let's do this with a little assistance. So float the knees, drive the heels backwards. So you're kind of pushing with the arms and heels driving towards the earth. You should feel the underside of the foot give you a nice stretch. Beautiful. Now, bring the knees back down to the earth. Flip onto the tops of the feet. Same thing we just finished doing. As you walk back the hands, try to sink the hips. Try to keep the spine nice and long. And as we come down, we're kind of shifting weight backwards. So really the stretch more affected by where our butt's positioned. So if you draw backwards and try to lower that butt of yours onto the heels, it's going to bring a little more weight back to that region and create a little more opportunity for stretch. All right, let's come back up. Hands walk forward, toes tuck, knees float, hips draw back towards the feet. Try to keep the back tabletop so we have a lot of tension through those muscles in our legs. And then draw the hips up to down dog. Drive the heels to the earth. And begin to enjoy that nice lengthening of the lower back leg muscles. Step both feet forward. As you inhale, extend to a flat back. Exhale, draw the hips back. Keep those knees almost locked. On the next exhale, powerfully release it and let the upper body pull down. And then take a couple breaths. On the next inhale, unfold the body and come all the way back up to standing. Great job. Now hands come over heart. Right foot steps forward, left foot steps back. We've separated the feet wide enough to keep a good balance situation. We're going to bend that front knee, and I'd like the knee to kind of float forward to where the toes are. Not really beyond right now today. We're going to hold it on this spot. The back heel aims to the sky. We're going to take the back heel, drive it down towards the earth. It may not go, and then push back up under the toes. So let's do that a few more times. Keeping tension in the movement. So you're not kind of dropping down and then pushing back up. You're kind of resisting the movement down and up. So we've been working a little bit on ankle mobility. If you've noticed, a lot of the lower leg muscles are the muscles that interact mostly with the ankle. And when we come up this time, step the back foot forward, step the opposite foot back. Same thing, opposite side, little bend in that left knee. Drive the heel, push up under the toes, and then go up and down, your pace, under tension. And on the next push up, step it forward, switch sides. As we set up on this side now, we're going to change some of the orientation of the work by straightening out that front leg. I'd like you to make sure you've got the ball of the big toe of that foot mostly connected, but the little toes still on that mat of yours. This time we're going to lean in. As we lean in, we're going to feel that lower building on that right side, right cheek. We're going to do the same exercise, lowering the heel and raising it. And it's going to impart some more work into that right cheek muscle. Now, we're going to progress this by adding in the arms. So we're going to extend the arms forward, keep pistoning the heel up and down, reaching forward as you come up and letting the shoulders pull back as you descend backwards. Let's do this a few more times. And then bring hands over heart, step the back foot forward and switch the sides. Same setup, opposite side, make it real, and then start the movement. Where are you going? Kirsten's remarkably advanced. She's getting well ahead of us here. Or did you just forget? We're going to add that in. That's our progression. All right, now extend the arms forward. Make sure you're leaning into this, right? This isn't a vertical exercise. You get more out of this when the upper body is leaning in. Tension through the whole movement, please. And then hands come over heart. Back foot steps forward. Hands push to the sky. Big inhale. Exhale. Pull it down. Have a seat. Oh my goodness. That's what the mat looks like in this position. I'm going to grab a little water. Cheers to all. Joint mobility is very key for our lives and our movement and ease of movement or lack thereof. So those exercises are good. You can always do them at any time, of course. Or you can replay this tape. Anyways, mostly the focus, ankles and knees, mostly there today. We're going to bring the feet hip width apart. So I'm going to bring flexion to the feet. Now, sitting on the tailbone, on the sit bones, We have a slight angulation backwards. We're going to keep the spine nice and long. Another way to do that is proud out the chest. I have my arms back and straight. My fingers are aiming backwards, and I'm kind of trying to open and expand through the chest and across the chest. So I'm pulling those shoulders out, filling the arms. Going to give a big breath in. I'm going to hold the breath, and I'm going to take the hands and bring them over heart. And then I'm going to exhale. Let the spine curve and descend slowly to the mat. And then shoot those hands backwards. Feel that nice length. Going to keep the knees still bent. We're going to come back up. I'm going to make this nice little exercise. Tuck your chin and one vertebrae at a time. Peel it up. When you're up, straighten out that spine. Extend the arms straight. Fold in between the legs. Let your spine flex, let your head kind of fall. And then grow the neck. That's lifting the head, pulling with the back of the head. Bringing hands back over heart as we curve the spine. Dropping the chin, lowering vertebrae by vertebrae all the way down, hands extending back. So you've got the movement pattern. We're going to continue this. Think of slow as the mantra of the day. Nice and slow. Pull it down. Extend the arms all the way back. Extend the legs all the way out this time. Point the toes. Flex them. Point and flex. So we're just moving those ankles out and in. And hold on this. And then we're going to take the feet. We're going to keep them in flexion. And then open. So external rotation of the legs. And then internally rotate. See if you can get those toes around to touch. If they don't, that's not a problem. It's just the movement of the hips or through the hips right now. Try not to bend out through the knees. Try to keep them long and straight. And when you're ready, well, let's everyone meet with the toes aiming up the sky. Now, sliding in just a fraction, like just an inch or two. So there's just the slightest bend in the knees. If you're not presently hip width apart, let's step out those heels so that you are. And then we're going to rotate internally so the thighs and the toes touch. And then we're going to use the heels as our hinge. So we're going to open up and then rotate in. So this is just internal and external rotation. So because we're remaining basically to the same angle on the heel and the knee, it's really with the hips we're working on right now. So we're working the internal and external rotators. There's not a lot of load on them. So we're going to change that by taking the thighs and the toes and bringing them into touch. So now we have this big internal rotation. You may feel the thighs trembling a little bit. If you don't, they'll eventually will, because we're going to start to pull the legs together. So there's an obtuse angle in the knees as we squeeze the thighs. I'd like you to keep them squeezing and then slowly release and then hinge open like we were doing earlier. And then rotating back in. And here comes the fun. Squeeze those thighs. Keep those feet flexed. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And then open up slowly. So not letting anything just fall off. There's a little bit of muscle tension. We're going to come back in again. Keeping the feet flexed. Squeeze the legs. Squeeze those thighs. Squeeze them harder,
And then try to push the heels into the earth as you squeeze those thighs. And then relax everything as we slowly open up, not letting the feet fall out. Gonna add one level to this. It's coming up now. We rotate back in, thighs squeezing. We've all been here before. We're gonna bring the arms beside the body, cupping the fingers, fingertips to the earth, arms long, chest proud, shoulder blades flat. Engage the six pack. Squeeze the thighs, squeeze them harder. Give me harder. Keep them squeezing hard as you try to elevate that booty up off the mat. Try not to be tension, or try to be tension-free through the neck. Got a lot going on here. The breath is a little more challenging. Holding for 3, and then lowering down, and then relaxing. Point the toes, sweep the arms up and back. Pull fingers and toes in opposite direction. Take a big breath in. Exhale, bring those arms back down beside the body. Step the feet into the butt. Nice. Now, a little bit of pelvic rock. So I'd like you to take the tailbone and the pubis. Instead of pulling the pubis in, I want you to try to rotate it out and away from the body. And you know you're kind of activating the way that we want to be activating for this exercise right now, because your lower back is lifted off the earth. Now, pulling the pubis in, we're going to feel that change. We're going to feel the skin of the low back kind of start to connect. If you can get it all connected, great. And if you're not, it's just a work in progress. Be patient with your body. And then opposite direction, rocking it forward. So this is normally what feels most normal for our bodies when we stand, is that anterior or front orientation, rolling down of the pelvic girdle. And what's better for posture is the latter. When we get that low back, low skin sensation, it's more of a posterior rotation of the pelvic girdle. And that's kind of how we align that lower spine of ours, the building block of the rest of the spine, of course. Let's do this one more time. Just garnering a little strength, little muscle awareness, rolling forward, and then slowly rolling back. And now that we've got back established, I'd like you to engage the six-pack muscle, proud out the chest, and we're going to take our feet and turn the toes out to the edges of the mat. And we're going to try to pull the vertebrae of the lower back one at a time up off the mat. So we're kind of like crunching, but it's a reverse crunch, really. So we're going to roll up, and the hips are going to elevate vertebrae by vertebrae up to the middle, maybe as far up as you can get. Maybe it goes all the way up to the neck. Maybe it doesn't. And then we're going to slowly imprint vertebrae by vertebrae all the way back down. And you're kind of hollowing out the belly. You're going to keep the hips up, but the spine's going to lower down. One vertebrae at a time. You're going to feel those gluteal muscles kind of release. And then we're not going to roll forward. We want to reverse that behavioral aspect of our bodies. We're going to start back on this, but now we're going to step the toes forward. And then we're going to start to pull the pubis in towards the belly button. And as we start to do so, you're going to start to feel that low back peel up, goes to the middle back, all the way to the upper back, pushing the hips or lifting the hips to the sky. And then, super important, from the upper, middle, and lower, you're just coming down one vertebrae at a time. And when you arrive back on the mats, we're going to add a little progression here. So you're going to take the front part of your feet up off the mat. So the heels are our connection point. So with the feet flexed, I'd like you to begin the same process of elevating up off the mats. And see what height you can get those hips to. If you start to push and feel compression or tension in the neck, just back off slightly from that. Now let's lower back down. When you arrive back down, extend the right leg all the way out. Take the left leg and step it over the right. Keep that left foot on the earth. Nice. Now take the hands above the head and pull along the upper body. Great. Now return the arms back down, but let the right hand descend down onto that right thigh.
Left line.
Right hand extends onto the left thigh. And we're going to pull, we're going to lift the left foot off, and we're going to have that right thigh wrapped with our left thigh wrapped with the right hand. So we're going to pull that left thigh up and into the body, and then we're going to use the right hand to kind of guide down onto the right side, the left leg. So you can get the knee all the way down. Roll up on the side if you need to. Now take your left hand, reach it to the sky, and then sweep it straight up above the head. Beautiful. Now, clockwork, use the arm like the hand of the clock. Sweep it down, around. And when you get back to your hip, lift it back up into the air, and then all the way up over the head and do the same thing. So it's really like half of a clock. Now, when you get to the halfway point, take the left shoulder and begin to rotate it towards the earth. Oh, my goodness. Now sweep that arm down. You should hear, well, it just depends, but I hear a bunch of popping in my spinal column. That's what this is really for. Is this coming all the way down to the hip, sweeping all the way up and over. And then begin to rotate through one more time and try to get a little closer to the earth with that left shoulder. And then continue to sweep the arm. And then when you get to the hip, this time, bring that left leg back over, extend it out straight, and then let's bring that right side in. Let's take that left hand onto the right thigh and pull it up and into the body and guide it over. As you roll over, take the right arm, reach it up, and then reach it straight back. And then begin to dial the arm. All right, and then let's come back onto our back sides. Did I forget something? Oh. I'll have to make it up tomorrow. On our backs, we're going to bring our feet into the hips. We're going to take that low skin, pelvically rock it back so we have that nice connection. We're going to keep that now as we bring the left knee and right knee up and in towards the body. And I'm going to circle outward the legs. And then peel the head up off so we have a lot of flexion in the spine. I want the knees to kind of descend below the hips. And then pull all the way up so that the low back peels up off the earth. And then rotate, open the knees. Pull the head up, sweep the knees forward, and then roll back down. Knees pull in, open back up. And this time I'm going to pull up the head, pull the knees in, and rock and roll front to back up to the seated position. The voice is getting raspy. Grab a little water. As we come into a wide-legged staff pose, we're going to bring some flexion into the feet. We're going to bring hands over heart. So, caving in, extending. Dropping forward with the head, extending. So imagine the whole spinal column is kind of pulling long, keeping nice and extended. Bring that belly in, and then now we're going to take our arms, we're going to draw them back. So I'd like you to make fists of the hands and draw the elbows back. Kind of trace them along the ribs. Just take the thumbs so they're kind of pointing out and away from the body and draw back. Now, pivoting, we're going to open and close the arms, keeping that 90-degree bend in the elbows. And again, you should feel that tension form kind of across the shoulders
But I'd like you to make sure it's not relaxing through, kind of crowding out the chest, opening wide, keeping the chest proud as the hands come in, keeping that spine nice and long. Now, squeeze the rib cage with the arms, open wide, keep those upper arms squeezing the rib cage, come back together. Squeeze the rib cage with upper arms, open back up, proud out the chest, come back in. Do this a few more times, keeping that squeeze of the arms. You know how we do that with the thighs? Same thing with the arms. Squeeze them. All right. Come back center. Bring hands over heart. Slowly roll down, vertebrae by vertebrae, all the way down. Take the right foot, plant it onto the mat. Take that left foot, whatever you want, heel close to the butt, heel farther away is fine. I'm gonna cross the legs over. We're gonna use the right leg to pull the left leg towards the right side. And then just when we kind of get onto that cushy parts of our right hip, just before we hit the hip, we're gonna come all the way back up, all the way across the midline, and then down towards, gonna roll up on the left side. And then rock it back and forth slowly under tension the whole way. When we come back up this time, we're going to change sides. So I know we're almost out of time. We lost a minute or two. That goofy camera. All the way down. This is such an important, such a great stretch. We can take an extra moment or two. That's the boss lady. And then when you arrive back, let's put both feet down. Pull the knees up into the chest, forehead up to meet knees, rock and roll forward to back as we come up to a seated position. Let's bring our hands over heart and let me thank you for joining us today. Hope you have a wonderful Sunday. Happy Sunday fun day. Namaste.
Namaste. Good job.
Good job. Huh?
Hello.
Good morning.